ship.
Oh no!
Here we go.
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our third episode of Bogan's Advocate, where we will be doing our friendly criticizing of movies that we love, or criticizing of or trying to find things that we love about a movie that we might dislike. It's the whole idea of the game is to try and find the opposite of where we stand on the movie as a whole. So this is our third in a row now, and we're going to be diving into Revenge of the Sith. Joining us tonight is Blake, Dan, and Darian. We are all remote tonight, calling in from afar, so bear with us as things could experience some disconnects, but we will see. We also have a small mini review from Blake about his recent experience reading Force Collector, which is a junior novel that came out a number of years ago before The Rise of Skywalker, and we will dive into that very briefly as well. So thanks for joining us again, and let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Blake.
Blake to Josh. Blake to Josh.
Very nice. I read you loud and clear.
Oh, I'm coming in. All right. I wasn't sure if the connection would reach from this far off world.
Full. Boost the signal. Full.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
All right, and joining us also from afar is Dan. Welcome back, Dan.
Hello, hello.
Hello there. And we have Darian. Hello, Darian.
Sakuraga, boyos.
Hello. All right. Cool. We got a party tonight and another Bogan's Advocate game to play. But before we dive right into that, I know we hinted about it last week, so maybe you could just give us the 2-minute journey that you had.
Start with it.
Yeah, we'll just kick things off with that. The 2-minute journey of Force Collector.
Oh,
what
man.
did you think about that book? Junior novel.
Well, I will say you definitely set a very high bar of expectations for me by saying it was as good as I was going to say Across the Stars, but that's the song.
The Lost Stars book.
Lost Stars. I mix that name up every time. And I gotta tell you, I still like Lost Stars significantly better.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I mean that seems like it's top tier Star Wars literature for you, which doesn't surprise me. I mean I think we went over that in the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the good, the bad, the good, the meh, and the ugly. I believe
The
it
meh,
was.
yeah, that's right,
meh,
something like that, yeah.
Right, but yeah, Lost Stars is always kind of a number one for you, and for most people as well. A lot of people like that book. That one is young adult, I believe. But
yeah,
this
so I thought it'd be a good thing to compare to, and rightfully so, because that's what you brought up as well.
Yeah, this one being
so it was kind of an apples to apples.
Yeah, this one being a junior novel though is like, I guess it was for a slightly younger audience, but.
Oh, this one was junior. I thought
Yeah.
this was all young adult.
No, this one was junior. But what did you think about it? Like, what did you think about the story?
Okay. Well, that made me change my opinion a little bit, because a lot of the stuff that bothered me when it was like really campy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that could happen with junior.
I'm curious to talk to you about it in a little bit more detail, though, because one thing that bothered me that maybe didn't bother you as much is that a lot of the Force visions that the main character had were often related to specific things that happened in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you think of all the stuff to find across all of the galaxy happens to be stuff that specifically happened in George Lucas's, like, within, like, Revenge of the Sith through like the original trilogy.
So I think
it was hard for me to buy into.
We'll elaborate that on a little bit. So this book, which came out a number of years ago before The Rise of Skywalker, it was about a boy by the name. Wow, what's his name again?
I gotta look it up.
Yeah. Okay. It's been a number of months now since I finished reading it, but anyway, so this guy, he's a kid and he's got force potential, which he doesn't really realize until much later. And he goes on a bit of a self journey to find out sort of more about his powers and about the Jedi. And at this point, this is...
His name's Carr.
Yeah, Carr. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And this is a couple of years before The Force Awakens, even though the book came out as a journey to the Rise of Skywalker set of those novels. It was actually, timeline-wise, it's actually before The Force Awakens. There's a reason why it's actually a journey to the Rise of Skywalker, though, because it does have a lot to do with the era that comes after, which is kind of the speculated Rey movie in timeline that we're talking about, which is the New Jedi Order, which those movies are still in production. But the first movie that will take place in that era will be the new Starfighter movie with Ryan Gosling. So I think that we were speculating on this a little while ago when I first finished the book myself. And this kid with the force powers, he's got this the ability called psychometry, which is when he picks up an object, he can hear the echoes of its history through the force. And through his journey, he's able to find objects like the staff of what's his face on Utapau that first encounters Obi-Wan.
Right. Yeah. It happens to be the Utapauan leader, like specifically his staff from when Obi-Wan lands there.
Tion Medon. Yeah. And he also finds something. Oh, there was a few things. What can you think of any of the other objects? He finds a few of them.
There's that. He finds a broken lightsaber hilt of a Inquisitor.
Right.
What else does he find? Those were the two big ones, I think.
Yeah, those are the two big ones. There was a few others. There was like 2 or 3
more.
more.
Isn't there a helmet? To a Jedi, or a Jedi, what do they call them? The security.
Oh yeah, right.
Sentinel? No,
like the royal, the Senate guards type thing.
Not the Senate guards, the Jedi Temple guards.
Oh, the Jedi Temple guards, right? Okay. Yeah, you're right. I think it was some sort of mask or something.
Right. Yeah, and with that vision, he sees specifically Anakin's attack on the temple.
Right. Yes, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So. Anyway, he's able to piece together.
Oh no! And the worst one is he finds the training droid inside the Falcon.
Oh right.
While it's at Nema Outpost. Oh man, that was so cringy.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but it makes sense because the Falcon is there. Like he's on Jakku, and Nema Outpost is where Unkar Plutt has.
He meets Unkar Plutt and tries to deal with him.
Yeah, that's right.
Funny.
Yeah. So I think so. To go back to your point. I actually didn't have a problem with it because by the end of the book, he realizes that he's not meant to become a Jedi, even though he's really excited about the possibility. He kind of has the self-acceptance part of the story. It's like the last third of the book where he discovers more about his own lineage and realizes that his force potential and his gifts are sort of intended to help rebuild the order and not so much to become a Jedi himself, but to become a collector of knowledge that can be used to then later train the future generations of Jedi. And so with that in mind, I feel like it is part of, it's not just a coincidence that he's able to navigate.
Collect all these pieces and have the ability to
exactly. I feel like it's
a history with his ability.
Yeah, like I feel like there's
generation.
I feel like there's some hand of the Force in that whole thing, like where he's able to, because it would seem like a very small galaxy if somebody was to go around and follow the clues to these different artifacts. But
he also finds that broken hollow, what do they call it? Not like an hall projector thing, but the comlink style.
Oh,
and it had to
Jedi,
do with
Jedi comlink? Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? The guy who
Sifo
in the
Dyas?
order for the clone army. Yeah, that's him, Sifo Dyas.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like a lot of very specific, important points throughout the movies.
And it's designed that way so that from his perspective, from Carr's perspective, you get those pieces that help you realize as an audience who might know nothing about the prequels, you get a full understanding of the story that really took place there. And then you get his story journeying into his lineage after that. So it's really 2 stories that he's kind of investigating. But yeah, I feel like I mean, yeah, I think if it was anybody else, it would seem like a little cheesy. But for me, I was able to accept it a bit more, just knowing that that's kind of his path, is like he's able to harness those
like
objects,
collect the history,
collect
like
the history. Yeah, because
forward.
it's like his path, right? Like it's like, you know, I don't know. It's kind of like we all just kind of self-accept like that there is like a chosen one and that he's really powerful and stuff, right? It's like, okay, well, this guy is obviously meant to be kind of a cornerstone for rebuilding the order, and he might not necessarily be a Jedi, but he is definitely he's going to be an influential character. So I was able to kind of accept it past the cheesy part, but I totally know where you're coming from with that, because otherwise it would feel a bit cheesy, I think, if
and a little forced as well. But yeah. But I also see your point as well. Like it gives them a good branching point if they decide to go that route for a future movie, because they have a reason for the characters to know what happened.
Yeah.
Because it was never really explained by Luke or anybody to Rey or the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, they have a character now that's able to share the legacy of what came before. And that's, I think, a really important thing for, you know, that carryover, right? Like, kind of like how you're saying, because otherwise the characters in universe wouldn't have that knowledge. And you know, who knows what Rey was told by Luke and Leia in her training and stuff like that. So yeah, it is. Did you enjoy like the adventure part at least, or?
There was definitely parts I did enjoy. I really did like the camaraderie between Carr and his the female student that encouraged him to steal their ship, and Maze is her name. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed their camaraderie, and I'd say the part I enjoyed the most was probably the last like 25-ish% once they find the planet that his grandfather's on.
Yeah, that part was cool.
But the interaction with his grandfather was pretty interesting.
All right.
So did he turn into one with the Force, or what happened there? Because I feel like there was it just robes? Is that what you got, or was there an old man in there?
I think there was still an old man in there, because the only people we know
that have
disappeared in the Force are the ones that are very connected to Anakin, right? But yeah, what did you give this for Pablo points of Poodoos?
I haven't actually thought about that yet. I'd say 1 Pablo point.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Well, what did you give it? I'm curious.
I gave it a 1.5.
Okay, we're in the ballpark then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right, great. Let's move on to Bogan's Advocate, shall we?
Let's do it.
Hello there.
Hello there.
This deal is getting worse all the time.
All right, so get that soundboard active. All right, that's Bogan's Advocate, everybody. Revenge of the Sith. So Bogan is one of the original terms for the dark side of the Force. We got the Ashla, which is the light, the Bogan, which is the dark, the Bendu in the middle. And Bogan is what we're calling this game because it's sort of, it's kind of like a play on the devil's advocate sort of thing. But in the real world, Bogan is actually an Australian and New Zealand slang term.
You're going to say this every week?
I might. To describe a person whose speech, clothing, behavior, and attitude is considered unrefined or unsophisticated, often associated with the working class background. So yeah, it's kind of a funny one. But all right. I mean, generally, let's go around and just kind of say our 2 cents of like where we stand on the side, you know, of liking this movie or disliking this movie. And then we'll kind of get into the opposite of how we feel and some points there. And we'll try and look for some pieces of friendly criticism that we can try and, you know, not make it sound like it's part of the status quo of looking it up on Reddit. So I'll kick things off here. This is my favorite Star Wars movie. And it's going to be very hard for me to criticize this movie, to be honest. But yeah, I love it, and that's all I'll say. That's all I'm going to say for now. What about you, Blake?
I have a interesting relationship with this one because similar to you, at one point it was very high, under probably only Empire and probably Return of the Jedi at the time. So I prefer A New Hope now. But over time, it actually has become quite a bit lower in my rating. Is now even below Phantom Menace because I've come to really enjoy Phantom Menace. So this is kind of like the middle ground for me. So I'm not sure quite which side I should pick. No.
Okay.
I think it's still above average. So I will try to critique it as well.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Dan, what about you?
So I just rewatched it today. And out of the 3 prequels, it's probably my favorite out of the 3, but I will have no problem complaining about stuff in this movie.
All right. Darian, what about you, man?
The last time I watched it was when we were at the theater in the wonderful rocking chairs. And it's definitely in my top 5. There are some pretty big problems.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. So my first point then, we'll just keep going around until we're all empty, but is I actually wish that the movie was longer. So something I've said about this movie before, and it's by far one of the most pivotal movies in the series, and yet it is not the longest. And I've always found that it almost could have been a very easily a longer film. And back when it was in the theaters, I think it was probably easy to get away with a movie that was a bit longer, seeing as it was George's last film in the series, at least at the time. And I think it affected some of the plot lines. You know, not going to lie, I think there was some criticisms made about the movie, which could have, the easy answer could have benefited from a longer runtime and having a bit more time to really explain a few things to some audience members that may have not quite understood the characters. And I know we talk about Clone Wars having helped a lot of the storylines and a lot of the character development, but without that show, I guess a lot of the general audience would probably have those critiques about Anakin's turn and so on and so forth. And, I think a longer runtime could have been a nice choice, at least to
a boon.
Yeah, a nice boon towards those criticisms. So that's what I've got to say about it. Now we can just keep going around. How about you, Blake?
Well, I think the thing that has really become like the issue for me that's made it hold up less compared to a number of the other films for me is that it started to feel very video gamey to me over time. I've really disliked the seasoning of the droids. I like them much better in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Really, I felt like George just really needed something to hold that slapstick position, and he just forced the droids into it. That really bothers me, to be honest. Though I like the overall story, I feel like the way it's told in most of the scenes, it just feels very, I guess, campy. Almost, like I said, almost like I'm playing like a video game.
Okay. You get like the boss battles and stuff.
Yeah, like there's a lot. Honestly, it feels like each thing is each big moment feels like you've achieved the checkpoint in the game, and then you cut to the next scene. Very boss battle-y, especially with the duels.
Yeah, honestly,
just like the General Grievous is like the perfect example because it's just like hit like XXBY, and then you cut off a hand, and you just keep doing that. There's so many shots of like lightsabers falling, like you've hit the button in the correct sequence, stuff like that.
I as someone who's played the Revenge of the Sith Game Boy game like a few times, it does translate very well. Like for a movie that's turned into a video game, it translates incredibly well.
But I almost feel like you could just take the movie and make it a video game, like in the kind of Force Unleashed style.
Fair enough. All right, Dan, what about you, man?
Yeah, I agree with Blake about the droids. Like we talked about how the beginning of Attack of the Clones was like a noir detective crime story. The beginning of this, once you get past the cool space battle at the beginning, it becomes slapstick. Like it's them fighting the droids, them making goofy sounds, Roger, and then like R2's like spraying oil on them, and it's just like, okay, I'm guessing since Jar Jar's not in the movie, the droids become the comedy, and then because he knew
something for that role,
and he knew the ending was going to be dark, so like, okay, let's start out light, so that way we ease into the darkness. But it felt very heavy-handed. Like Star Wars has some great comedic moments all throughout the series, but like this one felt really heavy on the droids.
Hands up, Jedi.
Hey, you.
and then like having just rewatched it, like I'm so like every time somebody like enters the battle scene, the Jedi like they jump in the air and spin. I'm like, stop with the spinning. Like, and it's comedic that like at the end that Anakin's downfall was jumping in the air and spinning when like they do it at the very beginning of the movie. Like anytime they leave their spaceship and jump into battle, they're jumping in the air and spinning, do a flip and then land. And it's like there's no need for it. It's like, this isn't cheerleading. This is combat.
This looks cool, man.
Try spinning. That's a cool trick.
It doesn't even look cool. Like, and everybody during every fight, they're spinning around. Like,
There's a lot, yeah.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. Anakin, don't try it.
Now they're warriors. Throughout the war, they've honed their skills.
Yeah.
That flipping is impeccable.
All right, Darian, what about you?
The anxiety-based relationship between Anakin and Padme really gets to me in this movie. I know it's supposed to build the anxiety and the stakes of their relationship and what they're really risking just to be together. But it just feels so out of place with the rest of the movie, and it's constantly this like shift in tone every time they go back to it. And I know that is the purpose of that relationship, but I just like if you cut that out of the movie still works. It actually kind of improves.
No, I do agree with that. I feel like it's unfortunate because Padme was so competent in the first two movies, and then this one she just kind of sits around all the time. Just has just conversational moments in like apartments and stuff for the entire movie. Mm-hmm. It's very underutilized, and then it just really slows down whenever there's a scene with her, and it really, it's always a low point. She does have one as well.
She does have one great scene when she says a line about the Empire falling to, or the Republic falling to thunderous applause.
That's true. Yeah.
Really this is how freedom dies with thunderous applause.
Yeah. Like, but that's the only good moment with her. Like the rest of it is just her brooding and just like.
Yeah, I mean, it's I would agree with that as well. I think she's such a great character, and we see her in the midst of a lot of action through the Clone Wars, and even in Attack of the Clones. Like she's the target of an assassination attempt, and there's some action surrounding that, as well as in the Geonosian arena. You know, there's some good stuff there, but then she's also a very powerful political figure, and we see her on Naboo as in that forum, and you know, as just like a strong leader, right? Like a strong leader presence. And in Revenge of the Sith, I think like you're onto something there, where other than the scenes where she's in that role in the Senate, all the scenes in her apartment do kind of feel like kind of slow and a little bit just gray, I guess. There's a bit of a shadow over this whole situation. And I know that it's supposed to be dark times, but I feel like for a movie, it also could be a little more interesting as far as, you know, how those dialogues play out. And when she's talking to Obi-Wan about Anakin, and, you know, there's some kind of rougher moments there, I guess, kind of in the direction.
I guess part of it is some of the cringiest parts of Attack of the Clones starts in this movie, and Revenge of the Sith ends up being most of her screen time, like the awkward romance with the really rough dialogue, and it being shot in a way that's very simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She does have a great part at the end, though. I mean, her role on Mustafar, as well as the birth of the twins.
When she gets choked out.
Yeah, I think that whole piece is like played out very well. But yeah, I think it's just me. For me, it's just mostly the stuff in the apartment.
Yeah, no. The problem though is that's like a huge chunk of the movie. But I agree, she does a very good job at the end confronting Anakin. And
yeah, but you could just have that scene and none of the rest, and it would still work just as well.
Yeah, it's true. You can tell George just wanted more of a lead up to show their relationship.
Yeah.
But it comes across as just such a soap opera.
Right, yeah. Have you guys always felt that Anakin choking her out a little bit was ever necessary? Like, I feel like the ending of that relationship could have played out the exact same way without that, and him and Obi-Wan just start fighting. And she, you know, maybe she starts to go into cardiac arrest or something from the shock of it all, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the choking was necessary.
I see what you're saying. I think it was supposed to show that Anakin's become the thing that he specifically was trying to destroy. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I would buy her. She's pretty like fit. so I don't think she would have any cardiac arrest issues.
Yeah, I guess so. But then in the end, they just kind of have the lost the will to live thing that gets, you know, criticized a lot. Yeah, right. A lot. Like, I don't think a lot of people do love that.
It's such a stupid way for her to die. Like, yeah, I'd rather it was damage from him choking her, causing complications.
That would have been much more interesting. Yeah.
Because then he directly is involved in the fault of her dying.
Leading up to the movie, what I was expecting is that she was going to be in a crowd of people that he force chokes or something like that, where he wasn't aware that he was hurting her. That the irony of him being so concerned with saving her that he was just blinded to how he was killing her. Not, I'm going to kill you in a weird moment of rage. That
would have been more sense
seems again. Yeah,
she was an accidental casualty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also agree. I think if it was a moment of rage that he has, and it wasn't intentional that he harmed her, because even as Vader, we know that, you know, that Padme is his weakness, right? Like he still loves her even when he's in the suit, and she's dead and gone, and it's a traumatic event for him that just sets his course a little bit for the next 20 years as he tries to find ways to bring her back. And there's just this element of him choking her that doesn't quite make sense. And I know that might be intentional with trying to display that this is not the person that you know anymore. Like Anakin is gone. But at the same time, it's just almost so out there that it would be difficult to believe that, especially because as Vader is still in love with Padme, that's his reason for going down the dark path in the first place. So I feel like it would even be more traumatic if his anger led to a moment of rage that, you know, subsequently led to her death somehow, like maybe in the course of the battle or something with Obi-Wan. Like he does something that, you know, I guess shakes the place and like some debris falls on her, or I don't know, something like that. And that ends up being the reason. Inadvertent. Yeah, very inadvertent. And it still gives reason to Palpatine saying, "I'm afraid in your anger, you killed her." Like it still makes sense with that line.
Well, people often, I don't know if this is a fan theory. I don't think it was ever proven, but it's when Vader was about to die, Palpatine like used the remaining life force from Padme to resuscitate Vader.
That's one of those one of those EU theories. That's never really been confirmed in the canon, and I don't think it was George's intention that was the thing. But I think you get those kind of theories when when the reason for her death is so kind of random, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. People are trying to bring some sort of logic to it.
Yeah,
within EU, it wouldn't be that difficult. Within the expanded universe, the canon expanded universe, they could just drop a random line in a book and that would suddenly be canon. Like it wouldn't be that big of a stretch from the information we have now.
Yeah, I suppose not. Darian, you got another one?
The Palpatine fight with the Master Jedis kind of felt lame.
Yeah.
And now that we've seen what was supposed to happen in that fight and what they choreographed and everything, it makes it that much worse.
Yeah. I think it all came down to they didn't want to use a stunt double, right?
Yeah, I think there was something about that on the behind the scenes. They talk about George Lucas changing his mind of how he wants to shoot the fight, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of close-up shots that they're getting Ian himself to do. And I know they did use a stunt double for some things, but I think the majority of the fight, it was maybe not quite thought of as maybe as...
It could have been so cool, man.
There's a lot of animated... There's like one or two animated fights with Palpatine that you just watch and you're like, man... The potential that fight had, like if they put, double effort into that duel and then maybe trim down something else like somewhere, but at the same time, like if the movie was longer, like all leading back to my first criticism here, if the movie was longer, there would be more breathing room for those kinds of adjustments. And it feels like that fight is super rushed. Like it feels like boom, 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 three Jedi are dead. Let's focus on, Mace Windu for like 2 minutes and then he's down, right?
Because I feel like what they wanted to show with Palpatine is so good that he could kill these Jedi Masters like with such little effort, but instead the Jedi Masters just look so incompetent.
Yeah, like one of them staring at a wall, dude.
that's so
one of
bad.
One of them staring at a wall, one of them is staring at the vase, and then the other one, like Kit Fisto, like he blocks like 2 or 3 times and then he's just done.
So the problem is the animators were on strike.
Oh man. Yeah. No, it is rough to watch that one. That one's probably one of the least exciting duels of the entire saga, which is it kind of sucks to say, but
Yeah, and with some fan
is.
favorites like Kit Fisto.
yeah.
Kit Fisto, no.
It's like they had to balance out, hey, we're going to give you the best lightsaber fight ever in Star Wars. We're also going to give you pretty much the worst.
Yeah, because it's too. You expect so much more from like Mace Windu and Darth Sidious. You know, it's like there's two characters there that carry so much weight, and then they go into
They're
it and
supposed to be the greatest duelist in the galaxy.
and they just drop the ball. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like there's yeah.
Like, you call that Form 7?
I think, you know, man, it should have been. I know we go back to the whole video gamey thing there, Blake, but at the same time, I almost wish that there was some force of evil before Sidious that maybe the Jedi had to fight their way through, which kind of dwindles down their numbers a bit. And it could have been super epic, but then Mace Windu is like the survivor, and then he gets in there, and you know that's what leads to just him being the guy that fights him. Whereas like how it was approached in the final film with just 4 Jedi walking in the room, as it looks awesome because they're performing an arrest of a Sith Lord. But at the same time, it's like, okay, the actual duel just makes no sense. Like it just, it's not good.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think the duel between Palpatine, Maul, and Savage is kind of how that duel should have gone in the movie.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's actually
It was
what I
very-
alluding to earlier.
Yeah, they had like an interesting geography to how that fight went. It goes over multiple levels and everything, and that's what I was expecting when I was sitting in the theater the first time. It's weird that it basically all happens in that little hallway for the most part. So they did improve the Yoda fight. I thought the Yoda fight in Revenge was better than the one in Attack.
Yeah. The Yoda fight was great. I thought
That's true.
And the display of force powers in the fight in Revenge of the Sith makes more sense than what I think it was what Dan was saying for Attack of the Clones, like with the force battle, you know, between him and Count Dooku, like just showing off to each other a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear Dan's opinion on it.
Yeah.
It's basically a 1-for-1 Yoda comparison.
Which battle? When him and Yoda fighting in this one?
Dooku versus Yoda and Palpatine.
In this one, it was much better. Like I actually enjoyed the fight they had when they were like jumping on the different in the Senate when they're jumping on the different pods and everything, the podiums. Yeah, that like instead of then just one at a time throwing like these little tiny like transistors or whatever like in crates. Like this is like a much more dynamic battle scene. So that one I thought was much better.
Yeah. All right.
I also really enjoy that Palpatine gets knocked over and he gets flipped upside down. I thought that scene looks so funny.
Oh yeah, over the chair. Over him.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys enjoy
I didn't buy his mutation, like when the electricity hit him and then he just like magically transforms. Like,
oh
it's
man,
so weird.
When that came out, so I went to Revenge of the Sith for my birthday in like early year high school or whatever, and I went with some friends of mine, and I remember that scene specifically. My best buddy was next to me. He starts laughing so hard, and he turns next to me, and he goes, "Dude, he's just getting a big butt on his head." The wrinkles that he gets from the lightning just makes it look like he's a big ass on his forehead. Like a wrinkly
Absolutely.
ass.
You just can't unsee it now.
No, you can't, man. That was from my first viewing, so that's just been ruined from the very beginning.
Oh man. Boy, okay. Yeah, Dan, you got anything else you want to bring up?
It really bothers me that General Grievous kept coughing. And like, I know it got explained later, but when you're watching the movie, it's never explained at all. And you're like, why is he coughing so much? It's like almost in every scene you see him, he's coughing. And all they needed was like some kind of like line or something saying, oh, like I was hurt in battle, or like, I think it was explained probably in Clone Wars.
Yeah, well,
it was
2D.
explained in the Gandhi 2D Clone Wars, like that came out like right before the movie.
Oh yeah, the animated one.
But the problem is then they undid that with a 3D and he coughed the entire time. So before that happened in the Gendy, so the timeline doesn't line up. And they never explain it in the 3D.
Yeah, I think there was only one episode in season 1 that they allude to the discomforts that he has because it was a change that he underwent willingly, his enhancements. So I think what they're getting at is that his cough is kind of a product of all of his robotic replacements. But at the same time, I prefer the old reason, which was just Mace Windu kind of force crushes him a little bit as he's getting away, having just kidnapped the Chancellor. But on the other hand, I can see why they didn't do that, because that would have been at the very, very end of the show. And they probably wanted Grievous to feel like the Grievous from Revenge of the Sith. And the coughing is just part of his character. So I can see why they didn't do it.
On the other hand, the Grievous that we got in the Gendy cartoon was awesome.
Yeah.
By far the best take of Grievous. Like, once you see him in the movie, it's almost a letdown.
Yeah, that's because you just see him fail, right? Like, every time and time again. Like, he's just, General Grievous will run and hide as he always does. Yeah. He's a coward, right? Like, that's like uttered by Mace in the movie. So, when you watch the movie, you get this idea like, oh, this guy kind of, he's like, looks all scary and mean, but he's actually not that great.
He's quite incompetent.
Yeah. But then at the same time, they still want to send a Jedi Master with more experience to deal with the guy. So it's like, okay, well, there's some risk there, but it's like,
He's just
it's like make up your mind.
He's just a quick time boss battle.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. All right, Darian, what about you, man? You got another one?
That's what's coming to mind right now. As I said, I do love this movie, so it's hard to pick out the egregious stuff. The no just keeps getting to me. I just keep thinking of that really terrible no.
I've never minded that. I don't know why, but I think it's only because I feel like it feels like it's like the tip of the iceberg, the cherry on top for all those moments that we have ever seen Anakin be kind of whiny. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's kind of the last one, right before we see him fully kind of transition out of that version of himself, like later on, but I hear your complaint about that. I mean, I've heard a lot, that's one that I hear quite a bit. So,
it's never really bothered me either, but I think if you I'd been around original trilogy for a very, very long time, and then you just kind of got that, it's just a little goofy for Vader to do.
Right. Yeah, I totally.
It used to really bother me until I found out that he did it as a homage to Frankenstein, to a scene in the original Frankenstein movie.
I didn't know.
So I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. Like, yeah, it's like when Frankenstein's made and he gets off the table, he yells out like in a similar way. So that was like an homage to that, I think, if I remember correctly.
That probably makes a lot of sense because at the time they were hiring theater actors for film, right? So that's how you would do it in the theater to like broadcast to the cheap seats.
Yeah, and it's such a great point to bring up too, because there is this parallel between Vader getting off that table with all these like sciencey looking things around. I mean, like, he's basically been remade, and in a similar way to how Frankenstein's monster was remade, and in a very similar kind of environment. And what a great movie, by the way. I don't know if you've seen the Del Toro.
Which one?
Frankenstein.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. Yeah. Anyways, anyone got any last minute things before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, like one thing I'm glad is like Hayden Christensen's acting was much better in this one. Like, his character Anakin was way less annoying in this one. But I did have problems buying with how quickly he turned pure evil. Like, him slaughtering the Padawans was kind of hard to take. I'm like, yes, he killed kids like from the Tusken Raiders, and like, that was like, I guess, him setting up for this. But I'm like, the fact that he just goes into the room and just slaughters these little children, I'm like, really?
Yeah, and again, I think it's one of those things that could have been answered with a longer runtime, because I mean, I've come to kind of accept it a little bit with what leads to that behavior, but more so just, I guess, from what we've come to learn about him he is very trusting and gullible of Palpatine's words. I mean, he's completely.
I mean, there's gullible, and then there's killing younglings.
Yeah. I mean, if that was, yeah, I mean, it's pretty intense, right? Like it's a very intense, emotionally complicated scene, and I think my criticism for that as well is that. Because I totally agree with you in the sense that a lot of people felt like the transition came very quick, and I feel like it just kind of
pretty extreme.
It just reinforces my first thing
attacking
of
the temple is one thing. You could have just not had that scene, and you'd still get the point across.
Yeah, like you mean like if just the clones kind of did the dirty work, and he.
No, I mean he could still be there. Just don't have the youngling scene. Instead, have him like maybe like fighting the librarian or something.
Yeah, I guess I mean, the younglings are I mean, they're always at the temple, right? So like they would, I guess, have assumed.
You're really attached to this scene, huh?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean,
somebody had to kill them. So
that's what I'm saying.
Jedi's running all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like somebody had to do it, right? So like, do we do it with Anakin being showcased at his darkest moment, or do we do it, in a way that people don't really see it?
I think how many clone lives you could have saved by going out and killing some more masters instead of the younglings. Could have sent a couple of clones in.
Yeah,
I think I was thinking too.
I think
leave the clones to do that. Maybe you could see like their crumpled bodies or something in the background or whatever. But I'm much more interested to see Anakin fight someone that he maybe previously had a relationship to in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's what's his name that does the swordsman stuff?
Jar Jar Binks.
The back. No, he's like he's like the master's like he's like the Jedi Temple's like sword master.
Isn't that Calvin Beck?
No, it's Sindralig. He's played by the guy who actually teaches all of the actors the choreography.
I didn't know he was a Jedi.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, Sindralig. He was also in the animated show. But he's played by what's his name again? Nick Gillard. Nick Gillard is the choreographer for all the lightsaber duels of the prequels, and he has a cameo as Sindralig in like the visual dictionary and stuff. But in the video games, Sindralig is like a boss for Anakin to fight once you get to the temple, and it's not the librarian, it's Sindralig, and he's the guy he's like a battle master. Like he's the guy that he really knows his stuff, like he's known to be like quite the swordsman. So it would have been cool to see that. But again, like,
did you know that Sindralig is Nick Gillard backwards?
Yep. There you go.
I just Google it and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but like we didn't even get to see him actually kill the younglings. Like we just had that little scene of like,
Yeah, but it's so heavily implied.
I mean, can you imagine? It's like if we didn't get that, like what else would they fill that time with? And it probably would have been Master Sin, like you've come to die, and then it just cuts, and then like it's like he's dead, right?
It would have been so much better if they did it just like that KOTOR trailer.
Yeah,
you remember?
Yeah.
Just like in that style, that would have been so much more interesting.
It would have been really cool. I mean, again, like they need a longer runtime to make it happen, but it's it would have been awesome. Like I would have definitely preferred that for sure. I think we still need some clarification that the younglings would have been killed anyway, but like it could have been by the clones instead. I'm not too attached to Anakin doing it, but I am attached to the idea that they are dead.
So Sindralig or Nick Gillard, he was in Indiana Jones. I believe it's Last Crusade. He's the Nazi that after Indy breaks into the Nazi base on the submarine, and he like punches out that random Nazi and takes his uniform.
Yeah,
but it's too small. He plays the Nazi that gets punched out.
I guess that's his stunt career at work there. That's pretty awesome, though. I guess he worked with Lucasfilm a long time.
Yeah, that must be how we got to know George. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Any other last minute things? No. Okay. All right. Well, and just to remind everybody, this is my favorite movie, so it's not like the criticisms are given with hate or anything like that. It's
should we finish it off with some positives?
All from a place of love. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Just to lighten it up, let's all say one thing we really love about this movie. Go ahead.
This movie has the best opening of any Star Wars movie.
It 100% does. Yeah.
It's so well done. It's so cool. I wish they would do something similar to this again.
All right, Dan, what about you, man?
Oh, me?
It was kind of
Dan's like, you know what? I've changed my mind. I only hate this movie.
No. It's like if it's just Bogan's Advocate, I do enjoy the movie. And just like all the prequels, like there's stuff I don't like about them, but overall I still enjoy them. I enjoy like the entire universe and everything. And it's cool seeing Darth Vader become Darth Vader, seeing the rise of the Empire. Like there's some cool, like there's some really, like this one has more scenes that hold up, or I feel like they still look cool. Some of the actions, like you said, the opening. There's a ton of like CG in this movie, like huge environments. Like when they do Order 66, you have all these different planets, like all these different battle scenes. Like it's like there's some really cool stuff in the movie visually. Yeah,
it was cool finally seeing the Wookiees get to go to war instead of the Ewoks.
Yeah. Yoda looked much better in this one. They got better with the making a CG Yoda.
I still prefer crack Yoda from Phantom Menace.
Darren, what about you, man?
That's space battle in Star Wars, and probably the best lightsaber battle is the Battle of Heroes.
Awesome.
That's true.
Yeah. I think for me, this is probably one of the most beloved soundtracks of all of the Star Wars films. It seems to have every theme in there too. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Even the end
Attack of the Clones, I feel like gives it a run for its money, but this one is very good.
Yeah, I mean, Attack of the Clones is quite good too. It's got some good themes in there, but man, like the end credit song or Revenge of the Sith is just it's something else. Like if you listen to the end track, it goes through all of the themes across pretty much all of the films that George did. And it ends off with just it's like a glorious kind of epic swell that just doesn't seem to end. And it's almost like you can definitely hear that, like, I think John Williams probably thought like it was the last one that he was going to do. And really kind of brings it full circle. And especially with the ending of the movie with Luke and Leia being born, with that sense of this is the New Hope, this is why the fourth one was called The New Hope. There's a lot of music in the final like credits that call back to Leia and Han and Luke and Leia, and just kind of foreshadow, I guess, musically the story that lies ahead if you're watching them chronologically. And I think that was also a really cool way for that movie to end. But yeah, love this movie to death, and kind of is sets the definitive look for certain characters like Obi-Wan and Anakin, and really set a certain bar for future Star Wars films to really hit. I mean, a lot of choreography from the prequels is what people compare to these days when it comes to some of the newer stuff. So
but even the newer stuff, I mean, JJ openly said like he's not willing to put in that much time and energy to get choreography to that level. So. Not in those specific words, but that's kind of what he alluded to. So I don't know if we're going to see Jedi duels in live action to this same quality possibly ever again. George kind of went, to the 11th degree.
Yeah, the Jedi and the Prime. Yeah, well,
I'll give accolade that they at least made one of the more interesting fights.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, they had some pretty awesome fights in The Acolyte, and Blake is actually just watching it for the first time now, so
it's true.
We'll do a chat about that again, about The Acolyte. The Acolyte Revisited, once you've had a chance to do that. But in the meantime, thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will see you in the next one.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
This is the way. All
right. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to all of you tuning in out there. Don't forget to check the links in the description below. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you next week.